Three, two, one, roll the footage. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Simon Severino, your host. And today I have asked the expert on recurring revenues and retention, Mr. Robert Skrob, to be here on the show because so many of us professional services, high ticket experts, we do have programs, but we don't have switching costs. So our people can jump off our program and go with the next program at any time. So how can we create so much value that people stay longer, that they have actual switching costs because they would miss something? And how can we create engagement in recurring work so that people want to work more and more with us? This is what we're going to explore. Welcome, everyone. Robert Skrob.
It's an absolute honor to be on your program. Thank you very much for having me. I've been very excited getting ready to be able to have a chance to speak with you and share with your audience.
Today, you are the retention king. But what was the process? What got you started onto this journey?
Oh, wow. Geez. I started out working with nonprofit subscriptions. I had a company that consulted with nonprofits. I actually joined as a bookkeeper and ended up buying that company about 5 years later. And, we were doing, I discovered direct response copywriting and was doing marketing brochures for memberships and trade shows and sponsorships and meeting invitations and registrations. And then, about 5 years after I bought that company, I started working with some for-profit subscriptions. I created my own subscription and sold that back in 2012, and then really cast around for, all right, what am I going to do next? And really chose subscription businesses as my target market, and kind of framed my experience and what I understand about growing subscriptions and attracting new members and retaining them as a specialty. And there's a lot of consultants, and what I find on this program, and what I find is often they get stuck in, well, I can do this and I can do this and I also know that and I also know this and I also know that, and I suffer from the same problems. But what I did is I chose one thing that I thought would be a pain point, and I chose to be the number one expert in that position. And actually, even somebody about a year ago called me the OG in subscription retention, which is pretty ironic because I remember just a few years ago when I was just kind of starting out trying to hope that somebody would pay attention to me.
So, subscriptions. How can people think about subscriptions, start making their business model around recurring revenue?
One of the smartest things I did in my consulting business, and much less a lot of the clients and things that I work with, was I made all my agreements on a recurring subscription basis. Because before, and I know a lot of other consultants get in this trap, where you work on a project with a client and you outline, we're going to do these things and we're going to deliver this work. And what I found is that because the client would give me maybe some upfront money, and then of course the last payment would be contingent on the project being finished. But what discovered was that the clients would drag their feet so much on getting me what I needed, and then even when I had produced everything that was promised, they would drag their feet on looking at it or approving it or resolving the project. And so here I was hung out to dry for weeks or months, not getting paid for work I had done, because it was this project basis. And so what I did is I switched it instead to a recurring monthly. And we generally have a kind of a 6-month outline of what will be accomplished, and a monthly fee associated with that. But what that did is it made it so now, to the extent that the clients drag their feet, I continue to get paid every month. They have the incentive to go ahead and step up and get the project done, rather than the incentive to drag it out. For my consulting business, it's been a massive game changer. For any other subscription business, it creates for any other business, it creates recurring revenue. The customers who are your subscribers actually buy more from you than individuals who are not your subscriber. And it just provides more stability and predictable revenue into the future.
What about the exit options? Exit monthly, every half a year, a year?
Yeah, I think this was one of the big revolutions in the subscription business, being able to take monthly subscriptions, because it really lowered the threshold to get to the subscription. Because before, everything was annual, because people were writing in a check and making a payment, and then you were kind of opening up the benefits to them. And so the monthly allows individuals to get in more easily. And most of my front end marketing that I create for my clients are the front end. What we show the customers is a monthly subscription, and then for renewals or as part of the onboarding process, we offer a discount to get into the annual. And what this does is it keeps the threshold low, but then invites members that are interested to upgrade their membership to an annual. Maybe we'll give them a little bonus or an incentive to do that. And that way you get the cash flow faster. I do have some clients that we do annual subscriptions. And what we find is that you actually, even though the threshold is higher, you may generate more money. One, because you get the cash flow of a year versus having to wait 12 months to collect a little bit each month. And then number two, the subscribers are higher quality. And so anything that requires customer service or requires actual work on the part of your team, you may very well prefer to do an annual subscription to keep the volume and load down, so that because that way you're only getting higher quality subscribers in that are kind of more committed to making the program work for them, and aren't simply just kind of tiptoeing across the threshold and going to use a whole bunch of customer service time.
Absolutely. If you think of your four strategic advantages: brand, community, switching costs, pricing power, what do you see as your strongest ones right now?
I think clearly the brand. That I have invested a ton of time and money into being the subscription retention person, and being when somebody is facing that problem, and they got some sort of subscription business, they are trying to figure out, often the kind of the default is, let's just get more new members, let's get more
Hmm.
new subscribers. And at some point they kind of wear out. It's they feel like you can only run the treadmill so fast, and you're gonna get tired. And then the team starts looking at, well, how do we do retention? And because I have positioned myself as the number one expert in retention, the people who find me, either searching for my book on Amazon, either searching retention on Amazon or searching online, they find me. And when they come, they are much better clients for me, because now they're ready to listen to the types of things that I might talk about. Whereas if I position myself as the subscription growth guy, they might be focused on subscriber acquisition, when I'm trying to help them recognize that their growth problem really is a retention problem, or really is a deliverable problem. And they're all focused on the wrong thing. So what I find is that my position and brand not only helps me distinguish myself from everybody else who's offering similar services, but it also attracts the type of customer that I can help best because of where that person is in their business journey.
And how do you create switching costs for people to stay with you longer? It's part of your method, probably.
Yeah, it's for the most part, uh, um, it is by pointing out things that they never saw before. There's a lot of different reasons, and there's a lot of different types of businesses that I work with. Some of them are solopreneurs, and in that case, I can bring a tremendous amount of resources, tools, individuals who can get things done, uh, and really accelerate their implementation in a way that they hadn't experienced before. For larger organizations, it's all those same things. Plus, I'm not afraid to point out things that others in the organization may be afraid to point out, and so they don't want to they want to keep me because I see things within their business and help them recognize opportunities or problems, but that no one else is identifying. And then third, because I can help them work together in a way that others can't. And so even though like I'm the retention expert, what I find most of what I'm doing is helping people implement stuff that they kind of already know they should be doing. They just haven't figured out, quite. They might have a little thing here or wrong, or just kind of a little tweak I might be making. But overall, it's really an operational, a project management, project flow, leadership work is, and I become an essential part of their team. I had clients now for more than 10 years.
How do you structure the communication during the week with your clients?
Right now, I'm probably going to evolve this quite a bit in 2024. Right now, every client has their own sort of silo and relationship with me. And I am working with them really on their basis of communication. So many of my clients, kind of my preferred way to work with my clients is via Slack, and have just add me as part of a member of your team on a Slack channel, and then I can communicate and be really just part of their internal team. Yeah, yeah, they see me as as another resource within their environment. And then, well, otherwise, many of them will have kind of regularly scheduled calls every other week or weekly, checking in on projects and work. But generally, there is some sort of agreed to project list and tempo of things that I, as part of either initially, as part of the initial conversation, identified, the 5 things that we're going to focus on to improve subscription growth. And and then we're going to sequence them in this order because they're, sequence them in order of fastest to implement, fastest to test the proof of concept, fastest to get profit, and then kind of build upon the projects that way, so that we get then to some of the thornier things that are more difficult to implement, but maybe have a more transformative impact on the business. And so that's kind of how we get together. I diagnose as part of the initial conversations, outline the projects, and then it's a matter of working through those with the team. And I take homework, they take homework, and we connect on an ongoing basis in order to get the project done.
Because what we hear in our community is some people struggle because now if they have 5 clients, the one client invites them into their Teams space, the other one into Lotus Notes, the other one into, I don't know, a Dropbox, and and the other one into internal databases where every couple weeks they have to renew access to and then talk to IT. So some are thinking, what if I create the communication platform? But then you have these trade-offs, right? How do you think about those trade-offs?
I think that part of it is switching costs, right? I I actually think of the switching costs in reverse. That to hire me, there's some significant switching costs from the status quo. And because right now things are, and I actually experienced this more profoundly in 2020 and 2021, where there was a lot of employee turnover, and that amongst the teams, they didn't have time to do what they needed to get done for their current clients today, much less taking on some sort of retention project. And so, the switching costs of going from their status quo to engaging me to work on retention were so high they didn't even think to call me. And then if I'm going to create my own communication moat where you communicate with me on this basis, what I am doing is I am further increasing those switching costs. So all that might be fine, and it may very well be the direction I go. But the way I, bringing them directly from prospect to monthly client might be too much of a jump or too much of a leap. If I'm going to then also install my own communication plan. And that's really why one of the things I'm doing to help businesses who want to create a subscription business or businesses who have a subscription business is actually creating small group workshops
Mhm.
for my business in 2014, where I'll work with a group of 10 businesses who are either 10 businesses that are looking to start a subscription for their added to their existing business, or 10 businesses who are already a subscription business and want to improve. And we'll get together for 3 days and focus on their offer, their acquisition process, their onboarding and retention, and then all the business systems like, renewals, annual renewals, the cancellation process. Focus on getting all those dialed in over those 3 days, and then have a support program on the back end of that. Well, once you've one, it's a lot easier. The threshold is lower to come for a seminar workshop than it is to become a client of a consultant. And then if you are already in the workshop for 3 days and I've got you and we're able to talk about your business and I'm able to get you excited about the possibilities and able to, help you see what your business could become when you implement these things. Now, subscribing to some sort of, lower level than consulting support program that then communicates on the basis that I want to communicate maybe makes more sense. And so that's, so that there could, so I'm kind of trying to create this level of relationship between prospect and client that fills in that leap, where maybe I can have better control over the communication, where I can systemize it more for my convenience. But I think as long as I am taking consulting clients, I feel like I got to be on their platform. And if it's Slack or it's Teams, heaven forbid, or whatever, Trello, I got one, then I need to be where they are and where their team is, because that's how I'm going to best see what's happening and be able to best support the client.
Who are your ideal collaboration partners and what makes them ideal?
I think maybe, anybody that has a list of subscription businesses that they're serving, or companies that want to create a subscription business and add that to their business. For the last several years, I haven't done as much collaborating as I probably should. There's a conference on subscriptions that I've been a speaker for every year. There are, and I work hard to maintain and foster a strong relationship and serve and contribute to that community as much as possible. Uh, and then there are other associations or businesses that have veins of subscription businesses. There's the subscription business is very broad. It goes from SaaS to news media to subscription box to the publishers, and so every single one of those has their own media. And so I'll work with those media in order to contribute and participate. So it's generally somebody who's trying to serve subscription businesses or businesses that want to have a subscription.
And now we come to my favorite part, which is getting to know you as a person a bit more
Ooh.
after one word from our sponsor. What if your business would run well even when you are on vacation? Discover how 1,600 business owners have regained their freedom using the Strategy Sprints blueprints. How they enjoy living their dream and watching their business scale. Get the exact checklists they use to go from stressed to fulfilled using the Strategy Sprints method. Order your copy of Strategy Sprints 12 Ways to Accelerate Growth for an Agile Business on Amazon today. And if you love it, leave us a review. For more information, head over to strategysprints.com. What makes you happy as a dog?
So I think the everything. Like if you could be so happy is a choice, and you get to react, you get to choose your reaction to stress, to situations that happen to you, and you get to really decide whether or not they are good or bad. And I think that's one of the things about dogs. I mean, certainly there are dogs that get abused, but overall dogs are, even that are in difficult situations, are expressing happiness and joy. And so it's all focused on happiness. And I work hard to maintain that happy as a dog uh, philosophy throughout everything I do. And if I do see something that is making it more difficult to continue that, then I'll work hard to prune it out of my life.
And you are also an endurance athlete, like many here listeners and in our community. You are a triathlete.
Well, I don't know that I call them. I certainly do complete triathlons. And this July, I completed Ironman Lake Placid.
Congrats.
And for me, I did it in a very good time. It was more than an hour better than any Ironman that I had done. And Lake Placid is a extremely challenging course. So it was a difficult course and a good time. And what I find is that uh, Ironman training, triathlon training, while I'm often tired, it always makes me stronger.
Mm.
And that fuels my energy for everything else that I'm
Mm.
doing. And that it's easy to look at it as a distraction or time away from work. But what I find is it actually contributes to what I'm trying to accomplish. And geez, yeah, it's somewhere between 10 and 25 hours a week of biking, swimming, running. And so it certainly does take a tremendous amount of time. But I do find that it makes me more effective at the time that I'm able to work.
Absolutely. And what do you do to supercharge your relationships?
Mm. I think this is an area where I could probably improve the most. The certainly the relationships that I have with clients and my wife and my kids. I work really hard on being there for them and listening hard and thoroughly to what they have to say and what they're sharing, so that I can really see behind the words and hear what's not being said, and very much engaging with them in those and being present in those moments. But what I find is that if somebody is not reaching out, that I do a very poor job myself of connecting with them and reaching back to them and keeping up. And that there's I have past clients that deserve better. I have friends that I've known that deserve better, and I simply get in my own world and focused on what's in front of me. And I've actually have decided to make time to maybe make a list and have some sort of rotation or process by which I reach out to the people who deserve more attention and respect and appreciation, even though they're not directly talking to me on an ongoing basis. So that's something that I'm actually looking to improve upon.
You have written multiple books. If we are now intrigued, like I am, and we want to get deeper into your work, where should we start?
I think the probably the easiest place would be this book, Retention Point. And I think I get a lot of great compliments about it, and people tell me how much they love the book. And if you are a consultant and looking to generate new clients, you can study it from a standpoint of, all right, how do I create subscriptions, and how do I onboard my clients, and how do I create barriers to leave me. And then also you can study it from a standpoint of, how do I write a book that generates clients. I've sold more than 20,000 copies of this book.
Congrats.
It's and it's like a little niche of a niche, right? Because this
Mhm.
is like, it's not just a marketing, but it's subscriptions. And it's not only subscriptions, it's subscriptions retention. Like, you got to have, like, it's a ever shrinking market. And yet I've sold a bunch, and it's generated more money than I could even think about in terms of revenue. So if you're a consultant and you want to add subscriptions and you want to know how to write a book that generates clients, this is a great thing to study.
Retention Point. If you're just listening to this, he was showing his book, Retention Point, his newest book, Robert Skrob, Retention Point, the single biggest secret to membership and subscription growth. And Robert, many here are writing books, publishing books. 20,000 is a very good result, excellent result. What made it, and in a niche, so what made it so successful? Was it the promotion, something that you did in on the book tour?
Well, one of the things that I was very timely, because the book came out in 2018 in May. And then in July of 2018, Amazon launched their at the time, their brand new advertising platform. And so I was able to advertise my book on Amazon
Mm-hmm.
for a couple of years before many other people really even
Mm.
discovered that that was a thing.
Mm.
Now there's a lot more competition, but but the key thing, and there's a lot of different. I studied that and understood that you got to advertise for keywords, you got to advertise for your own name, you got to advertise for the book name, you got to advertise for other books that are like yours, that you want to show up on those book pages so that your potential readers see you. And by owning Amazon, I have been able to, people are going there every day looking for answers to problems. And by presenting a book as a solution to a problem, they then feel like they found you, rather than succumb to advertising on in some other platform.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a tremendous opportunity. I used to smile about it. It's like, because because I've been writing and publishing books. I don't know. I think this is probably like seventh, eighth, ninth book that I've authored, and I remember going into a bookstore at Barnes and Noble in USA in 2007, and I would take my books that were there and I would turn them so that they were face out, eh, instead of spine out, so that people would see my book, and that the next customer who walked by the business section of the book would see my book from the front rather than from the spine. And what Amazon allows me to do is like take my book and put it out at the front, for the types of customers that are exactly my prospect. And it's like it's a tremendous opportunity for anybody who is trying to do consulting and solve problems. And so that's really the secret.
I just bought it on Audible because I'm a listener. I love to listen to books. I run every day, so I have 7 hours per week to listen to books. And also, what in the sauna, my newest thing is I go alone in the sauna and I listen for 1 hour to a very good audiobook. It's wonderful.
Wow, that
It's
sounds
wonderful.
amazing. Very energized. Now, is a regular sauna or infrared sauna?
I have both, but I do the regular more longer and more than the
Nice.
infrared. But people tell me I should do the infrared also once a week because they have different benefits.
Okay. Well, but if you get a lot of book time in, then.
Yes, because books, I enjoy books and they make me happy and they make me smarter, they make me think. And it's part of my thinking time, CEO time.
I
It
love it.
makes me better. And I also have a weekly book club. So if they are really good, I present them in the book club a couple weeks later. So
Oh,
yours is
that's
now
brilliant.
on my library. And many listeners are thinking about their first or second expert book to position themselves. One discussion is, should I go self-publishing and self-advertising, or should I shoot for a big publisher? What's your experience with that?
So I've done both. And my recommendation would be 10x self publish versus bothering with a publishing house, for almost everybody. There are certain circumstances where a publishing house can be helpful, particularly if it's the type of book that's going to be in an airport bookstore or something like that. Maybe that would make sense. But for self publishing, it's insanely faster. I can go from having a book idea to, so this book so the other books that I authored, they were somewhere between 12 and 16 months from the time we were talking about writing a book, to having the book written, to having back and forth with the editors, to having it designed, to having it printed, to having it in bookstores. Easily 16 months. And whereas this, I got the idea at the end of January of 2018. Darn it, I'm going to write a book. And by May, the first week of May in 2018, the book was published and in bookstores. And so it's just way faster. Also, as the author publisher on Amazon, I'd have control over how the book shows up, the advertising spend, and it could be a tremendous hassle if you're trying to do this, on through a publisher. As a consultant, you have much more control over what's in the book, what sort of ads go in the book, what sort of positioning. And really the process between taking your words and getting it published has never been easier. It not even close.
You are quite active on LinkedIn, on X. Where should we follow you if we want to get the most of you?
I think the probably I can't say I'm active, but I probably am going to be more active on LinkedIn than X. The while I've loved X, it's other things have come into X that are not as beneficial. It's like I just don't need to see this anymore. And so I actually am weaning myself off. LinkedIn is probably the thing I look at more than anything. And also, if you want to know more about me, go to beunleavable.com, and there is a free 3 video series that you can, right there on the top of the page, that teaches about subscription growth. Check that out if you like. And then also you'll be on my email list, so that, it's not that I email that often, but when I got something that you should know about, I'll let you know.
And while I was researching you, I saw that you have a very specific way of creating that initial email sequence.
I do.
Would you like to share something about that?
Yeah. So for subscription businesses that are looking to retain their subscribers, I have created a template for the first 7 days of what emails you should send and what those emails should include in order to maximize retention. And for years, I've been creating those onboarding sequences with, SMS and social media and email and outbound calls and all of that. And all of that's great. But what I started, I had a client that hired me to do a seminar for all their international divisions. And, there's a publishing house, and, there was going to be more than 60 people from around the world. And he's like, can you create a template that they all could use to onboard their subscribers for each of their businesses? And I'm like, I create this, everything's unique. But when I started really looking at what I was producing, there was a definite theme or template to kind of how I was approaching those emails. And so I simply templated them and then published that template and made that available as the evergreen. What do I call it? Evergreen something.
Email
Um,
sequence? Yeah.
yeah, there you go. There, and so that way it could be available, and that's also another easier way for individuals to become clients, is that, they might not be ready to buy consulting. My minimum fee is $180,000 a year, but maybe they can. Maybe they'd like to take advantage of the email sequence and have their team implement that.
Totally. Thank you so much, Robert, for being on the show, sharing your journey so generously and your knowledge and your wisdom with us. Robert Skrob, everybody, it's Skrob. Make sure you follow on LinkedIn. He's more on LinkedIn than on X. His book is amazing. I guess it's amazing just from what I have researched and experienced right now. It's called The Retention Point. I just bought it. I will tell you in a couple of days. The single biggest secret to membership and subscription growth, also available as an audiobook. Robert, thank you so much. Keep rolling, man.
Absolute honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Avoid trying to do thousands of things that doesn't work. We have 274 templates for your business success. Reach your ambitious goals with one-on-one sprint coach. We double your revenue in 90 days.
What if your business would run well even when you are on vacation? Discover how 1,600 business owners have regained their freedom using the Strategy Sprints blueprints. How they enjoy living their dream and watching their business scale. Get the exact checklists they use to go from stressed to fulfilled using the Strategy Sprints method. Order your copy of Strategy Sprints 12 Ways to Accelerate Growth for an Agile Business on Amazon today. And if you love it, leave us a review. For more information, head over to strategysprints.com.